Hey everyone, it's Joey and Monica Valancourt, and we are here today to tell you about our trip to Belize back in summer of 2023. Now, we took our newborn baby and our 3-year-old on this trip, and here's what happened.
Come along for the adventure and find out if traveling abroad with your family is for you as we tell you about our trip.
So the idea for this trip came from, we wanted to start living unfenced. This was a concept that we came up with actually on the way to the airport to go to Belize, but the idea stemmed from how can we combine the best of working remotely or at home or anywhere in the world, but also bring our family and combine that with the best of seeing other cultures, how they live, and meeting up with other communities.
We wanted to combine the day-to-day activities that we were doing with our family, our living, our growing, our routines, and do that in another country with like-minded individuals.
And we thought it'd be a good idea to start with a newborn baby, because who doesn't want to bring a newborn baby on a flight?
Well, we found that as a perfect opportunity because I was off work for maternity leave. Our son was 5 months at the time. He was at that age where we felt safe enough to be able to bring him. He didn't have any major health issues and he was developing as expected. That definitely adds some extra challenges bringing a younger baby. We also had a 3-year-old who was in a regular daycare routine back home, but we were able to extract him from the daycare, and so we had some freedom in what we were able to do during this time in our lives. So we decided to travel with our family because it was conducive to our situation at that time.
One of the reasons we started to do these types of trips was to see if this type of living was for us. The idea of going on a vacation with your family for 30 days, but also combining it with work seemed like a great idea, but there was things along the way that we learned, and we want to share those things with you because we did enjoy it. However, there were things we would have done a little bit differently.
Not a lot of people have shared yet what it's like from the perspective of the income earner, the person working remotely from home, and from the caregiver that is working with the children and the family routine. So we wanted to share our perspective to see if you can gain any insights and see if this kind of trip is for you.
And have a laugh at us as we went through the adventure together with the newborn and a little toddler. So the idea for this trip actually came from somebody that I worked with. She just went on a 30-day digital nomad excursion where she got to meet up with a bunch of other people who work remotely, and they went to this exotic location. And I thought, what a great way to go and work for the next 30 days of my life, but I have a family. I'd like to bring them with me. I didn't think that existed for families, nor did I think we'd actually be prepared for it, but we found Noma Collective. We did some research, we got on a couple calls with them, and we made the commitment.
The family chapter of the digital nomad experience entails bringing like-minded families together, living at a resort, and during the week, the daycare-aged children are able to attend a daycare, have care provided for them, go through a school-based and objectives-based program, explore their natural surroundings, and they're close to where the parents are. So if the parents choose to be able to come and see what's being done at the daycare, they have that freedom to be able to. The people that are working from home are set up so that they are comfortable, they have what they need to be able to work from home. And caregivers can run the household as normal from a small apartment.
And we stayed at a resort. So, when we say daycare, it's actually this really beautiful spot on the ocean. The kids get to go on the beach every day. They get to build sandcastles and do all these activities out in the sun, protected of course. And the parents are just like a stone's throw away. We're in this beautiful AC room, by the way, with great internet, which was one of the big things for me because as I work from home, I need to have my Zoom calls ready and everything else as if I'm working from home. And we had our own kitchen. We had our own appliances. We got to cook our own meals. It was just like living at home, but just somewhere really beautiful on this wonderful peninsula called Placencia, Belize.
The other thing that Noma offers is during the week excursions or family dinners where you can come together, purchase a meal, experience the local cuisine. We also had potluck suppers, and on the weekends, they also offer excursions. These are paid for excursions that they curate, and you can choose to participate in them with the other families or not.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun too, because you could still treat your workday as your workday. Some people still took a bit of vacation during this whole thing because it was like 30 days, like that's a whole month in the summertime. So I mean, I took definitely more vacation days than I had planned to, which was awesome because I got to spend more time with my family. But basically, if you want to work from like 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 or just whatever your regular work hours are, you can. And then you've got this other community-led activity center happening in the nighttime, on the weekends, and it's optional. And some people were partaking and others weren't. But it was a really great mix of work and play.
Placencia, Belize is a very hot climate, especially in July when we went. And it's mostly English speaking with a lot of expats that are there. And so we found it easy to navigate, easy to get to know the local people and get tips and hints about who to contact for various needs.
So our typical day while we were on this retreat was we'd still wake up in the morning on time, try to get breakfast in. We really tried to develop like a routine as if we were at home because kids thrive off of routine.
We would try to get both of the kids involved with the morning routine. And it was actually a lot like just preparing your kid for a day camp on a regular basis. And so we would prep lunch usually the night before. We would have breakfast together. We got to experience a lot of fresh fruit. Both of the boys did get to sample the fresh fruit. Leo would help in packing his backpack. We would make sure that there was a bunny there, his blanket, and a lot of snacks and a lot of water. Bug spray and sunscreen. And we would get him ready together. And as a family, we would walk over to do daycare drop off, meet the other families on the way. Leo was welcomed by his daycare teachers and was put into a smaller group of children that were in his age range.
Yeah, and the beautiful part too is I rented a golf cart. So even though it was a definite we could walk there, we took the golf cart nearly every morning. And that was my little special treat to myself.
So after daycare drop-off, Leo would have a daily routine with his daycare teachers. Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example, they would be going swimming in the resort pool, and the daycare teachers would help facilitate that with floaties or in a safe area for the kids. We would return home. I would continue on with basically family duties with Nash. He would still have morning nap and afternoon nap, and Joey and I had to coordinate when he was on meetings or when he was recording and when Nash was awake or sleeping. And that was one of the harder things to get into a routine about. And so we found that we kind of had to take a break sometimes and talk to each other about what was working or what was not working and kind of brainstorm a plan to improve the situation for the next day based on one or the other's needs.
It's definitely a balancing act, like anything in life whenever it comes to doing something new. We found that we wanted to be forgiving to each other, ourselves, and understanding, and take into consideration what the bigger picture was of this trip. It wasn't to be the most productive. It wasn't to have everything perfect. It was to put things together, but also be very forgiving and try to make peace with things as they come to you. And it was a hard practice sometimes, but I think we got through it because we ended up wanting to do more trips. So that to me was a telltale sign that we did make it work.
Some of the things that Leo got to do at the daycare was collect local vegetation and learn the names for them, look at different animals that were on the resort. One of his Belizean teachers taught him about the craboo tree, and they would frequent the craboo tree to pick the fruit that was ripe and sample it. It was one of the most delicious things for him, and he really enjoyed that. We found that when we went to visit Leo while he was in daycare, he would become kind of clingy and whiny, and we actually found it best in consultation with his daycare teachers that it might be best for us to observe at a distance and let him be immersed in his experiences with his daycare mates.
Every day felt just like an adventure with these other people who, by the way, we only met for the first time on the trip. We had one quick Zoom call with everybody about a week before we left for this trip. And we went on the Zoom call and we're thinking to ourselves, what happens if we don't like these people? Like, what do we get ourselves into? Fortunately, Noma Collective, they did a great job at, vetting people, making sure we're all a great fit. And it really paid off because I feel like we made a lot of friends and connections while we were there, and the kids all got along and everybody was in it together. That was one of the big things about community living. Sometimes we'd pass off the baby to not just people in our group, but actually waitresses in the restaurants or like flight attendants on the plane. So people really were trying to help a lot of families. And I wasn't expecting that because I am a new dad. One of the benefits and one of the things we really loved about traveling with our family, beyond getting to see these wonderful exotic locations and, you know, getting to see restaurants and getting to experience all these new things, was just the fact that we didn't feel alone. We felt like we were connected with people who all had the same circumstances, had family, were traveling, had to work during the day, overcome all these other obstacles that we were all overcoming together. And we got to share that along the same journey.
Had baby Tylenol if you ran out.
Yep.
Had anti-itch cream.
Yeah, for adults and babies. One of the other things that was really cool was like you make friends with people who were your neighbors. You know, we had a neighbor to our left of us that our one son got to run over every morning and go see what they were doing and what they were cooking for breakfast. And then their kids would come over to our place. And it was just like, you know, this really cool communal living spot. Plus we had this beautiful lagoon in front of us, waterfront living. We had lizards kind of walking around the paths and all these different insects or like reptilians or whatever you call them. But it was just a magical spot to be with all these other families around us.
Mm-hmm. We found that the other families that were there were like-minded. They were there as family-oriented, working individuals that had a lust for adventure and were willing to put themselves in uncomfortable situations to grow together, to meet the challenge. And I remember going on the waterfall walk or the waterfall hike with the baby strapped to my chest, quite fearful about falling in or slipping. And we had a
I swear we're good parents.
We had a support of people around us that were there to watch for our safety. And we saw other people overcome their anxieties in the same situation and reaching out to each other for support, for help, for encouragement, and then returning that favor to other people that were in need.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was such a great experience too to see the kids grow and thrive. For our kids especially, I got to see them have these moments where my kid wasn't afraid of water anymore. And this just happened on the trip because he was exposed to it day after day. Our other youngest son, Nash, he actually started to crawl during this trip. And it was just neat to see all these different experiences happen in this 30-day span in this beautiful location. Of course, we were taking videos and photos of the whole thing, but we got to enjoy it. It was taking us out of the hustle and bustle and made us really appreciate and be in a state of gratitude rather than continuously thinking and chasing the next big thing.
We had a deeper appreciation for each other's strengths. We were pushed to the limit on sleep schedules, on planning and organizing, responding to an adventure, accommodating with our kids. That made our kids grow. We modeled for them being able to overcome adversity, and it made us grow stronger as a couple because we were in this. There was no hiding from it. There was no ignoring it. We had to overcome any time that we didn't agree on something, or if there was a routine that was not meeting our needs. We had to speak up. We had to find the words and respect where the other person was coming, really listen to where the other person was coming from so that we could come up with a solution. So it pushed us to our boundaries and helped us evolve past it. We also got to see our children push to their boundaries, and they were stimulated in a new environment where they had different challenges and were supported to be able to find their own solutions to those challenges, become independent explorers, learners, nurturers, helpers. That was very gratifying to see.
Yeah, and for those of you out there thinking like, I don't want to always be around people, don't worry, I'm a natural introvert, so I get you and I see you. And you have your chance for downtime. There was a couple nights where I didn't go to suppers because I needed my recharge time. So you're not forced into places or communities all the time. It's your choice. However, you're going to see that you actually love being a part of it and it doesn't de-energize you as much as you'd think. And the weekends are really cool excursions. Like what they put together for you. And by the way, they do all the thinking. They do all the pre-vetting for you, which was one of the things that's like, hey, do I want to do this excursion? But once you start going, they put in their homework so you don't have to. And it kind of saves you a lot of time because you think about the amount of time you have to actually do researching. I don't want to be doing that when I'm on vacation or workcations anymore.
Absolutely. One of the things that we found very beneficial was being able to be mobile as a family. And so what that meant for me with the baby was having a lightweight, breathable carrier that I could take the baby into the water with or on the golf cart with, something that was strapped to myself where the baby was secure and comfortable in the heat. And then as a family, being mobile to be be able to go at our own schedule, so that if the kids were having a meltdown, we could leave an excursion, take them home for bedtime, and that's where the golf cart came in handy. We were able to take that all over the island. It was legal for the golf carts to be able to go everywhere we needed to on the island.
Even some non-legal things were legal. So I want to have a little bit of fun and share with you some memories and some of the things we'd recommend you doing if you go on an excursion like this, especially if you go to Placencia, Belize, because now we know the ins and outs. First thing, it's not just for kids. There's things for adults to do. And we definitely took our time to go out on date nights and to do a few things for just mommy and daddy. And we had great sitters. So we're going to now go through a couple of those things that we did do. Number one, like we said, make sure to create a routine. That's important, especially if you want to carve out date nights or time for yourself. Treat it like you're at home and make sure you do have a routine for your kids, because kids thrive off routine.
Joey was really great for encouraging me to schedule a sitter for during the day so that I could go with some other ladies and have some girl time. We took some time together to be able to go for a massage. That was a game changer. Halfway through the trip, when the baby wasn't sleeping, we were a bit uncomfortable with body position, with traveling, and we needed a reset. And we got to do a couples massage at a local place in Belize.
Spa at the Plaza, by the way. That's the name. It was a beautiful spot.
Spa at the Plaza. It was recommended by one of the locals that was there. Also, the Noma Collective CEO had used it as well, and it was a great spot.
The other thing too, whenever you're coming into Placencia, you're going to have to take some sort of transportation to get to Umaya. But regardless of where you're going, if you get the chance to take a hopper flight, it's really an interesting flight to take. I'd recommend it. Even though you can drive there, it might take you 4 hours instead of a 1 hour flight. We enjoyed it. The kids got like a kick out of seeing, all the locations from above, and the first time being in this smaller plane with the windows open. So that was a really cool experience.
The kids did really well on all of the flights. We made sure that we had lots of snacks and things to keep them hydrated. It helped that I was breastfeeding Nash so that he was able to nurse when he wanted to, and that was really important for me to allow him to get to sleep or let him have comfort. We didn't worry too much about his sleep or nursing routine. We just wanted him to be able to sleep or nurse whenever he was needing it.
Another power move too, whenever you're coming in, something that they did for us was they got food. They loaded our fridge up before we got there. As we got there, we were hot, we were tired, we're hungry, wanted to go to bed, and we had stocked up fridge so that the next day we actually could just go out and make some food. You go to a restaurant too, but I mean, I just liked having fresh food, especially having a kitchen.
At the house.
At the house, yeah. And this was like the above and beyond that Noma provided. So I can't vouch for other companies, or even if Noma Collective is going to do this in the future. But like the CEO, the founder, Daniel Thompson, he was actually the guy loading up our fridge. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's worth making that request for that comfort.
Yeah, and actually Daniel's a pretty cool guy. We recorded a podcast live on location, and we had a couple sample IPA beers while we did this. But you can check out another episode on this channel if you want to dig more into this whole experience and what's behind the scenes of Noma Collective, a little bit more in that podcast episode.
We were able to connect with Facebook groups that were run by local individuals, and they would share local events or tours, and then they also would recommend food delivery services. And so that was something that we had that we found very beneficial, was being able to basically shop online and get fresh produce and local groceries delivered twice a week to Umaya, to the resort.
Yeah, and I think it's just like letting go of control. Things are gonna work out down there. You're gonna, like, people that are more experienced than you are living down there and are gonna be facilitating the event. So you don't have to worry about where you're gonna get your food, what day. Trust me, someone's gonna plan that for you. They're gonna help you out. But the one thing I do recommend, if they suggest it, get a golf cart. It was the #1 thing that I did. We were gonna keep it for a week, and then we ended up keeping it for the whole month. And we got to go and explore by ourselves. It's like, I think 45 to 50 minutes to get into the main city in Placencia, like the main town, I guess what they call it. And we were just independent with this golf cart. So we got to go do groceries. We got to go explore on our own time. So golf cart, definitely get it. The other places, we have a couple lists of things, and we'll include these in the description box below, but the brew barge was a great spot. If you like craft beers, this is an old barge, literally just like, you know, parked there, and you can go walk on it. You can get food. They've got live music some nights, and they've got great craft beers.
The staff there was very welcoming and accommodating. It was one of the locations where the waitress would take the baby while we ate, so that we had some focus time. Turtle Inn was another lovely spot to visit. They allow you to use the pool while you're there. Their restaurant is top notch. They have a local garden that feeds their restaurant. I think they are about 80% sustainable whenever we were there. They have turtles housed in their front water section, and cool. It was a beautiful spot for us and the kids to visit.
It was definitely great. Like, if you want to get away from just restaurants all the time, the other thing too to consider is the street vendors. Like, we'd go through some little towns and they'd have a bunch of people and it would smell amazing. So like, it would just catch your nostrils right away, and it's affordable. It's clean, it's healthy. We had it so many times, didn't get sick, and we felt great afterwards. It wasn't heavy food. So I would just, you know, make a good mix. There's definitely some great restaurants, and we'll mention a couple other few ones that we went to, but the street vendors, I mean, you can't go wrong. So a couple other ones we hit up, the Strange Brew. We actually did a karaoke open mic night. A couple of us had guitars. So we went downtown and met up these other guys, these expats were there with guitars. I thought it'd be a bunch of, like, you know, locals, but it was a lot of local expats who were at these types of things, but a lot of live music there. The Tiburon rum tasting, if you have a chance, go check that out. That's also in the village. We met up with, I forget his name, but he was a great source of knowledge on all things rum and how they developed that one. We did deep sea fishing. Again, beautiful landscape, like really remote and not overcrowded areas. And we had this small boat to ourselves. It felt like a private charter because it was, but we weren't like bombarded with like 20 other people on this boat. And we had an amazing day out on the water.
One of our favorite things to do with the kids was a boat excursion with the kids to Monkey Island. And so on the way out, we were riding the waves, and on Monkey Island, we got to do a tour of the local vegetation, and our guide was a local resident of Monkey Island and described the natural vegetation, the bamboo forests within the rainforest. We got to see monkeys in the trees, and Leo absolutely loved that. And so that was one of our favorite excursions, and we got to see manatees in the ocean on the way back.
Yeah, that was, I was actually a little bit scared of the manatees, to be honest. And Monkey Island only has 500 people as a population. So there's a lot of cousins there, apparently. That's what we've heard. The other places we checked out were Jaguar's Bowling Alley and Pizza. The bowling alley was busted for the majority of the time that we were on location, but the pizza was amazing. We definitely went back a few times.
We had the martini bar and the
golf course
for the kids.
Yeah, rooftop martini bar, which is separate from the kids' golf course, by the way. Golf course is on the right, martini bar is up on the left. Beautiful sunsets there, great martinis if you're into that. And they also had karaoke. Those of you.
Inkies?
Yeah, Inkies. It was at Inkies. Which was just a quick golf cart trip away. We did the Big Beck's Harbor View Bar, which we were in town during the lobster season. So they had something called Lobster Fest. So as you can imagine, there's lots of lobster. There was a bunch of vendors lined up with local craft shops, and it was really like a big festival. And we were fortunate enough to be there at that time. So we went down with a big group. We had a big convoy of golf carts that went down to the village that night. And we got to experience like all the local community and the festivities that they had. And they have wonderful music, they had great food, and we had such a great time. And we had sitters for the kids. Again, something we didn't really talk about a lot was like the sitters are exceptional down there. They're really great with kids, it's affordable, and they're trustworthy because again, it's such a small community that everyone knows everyone, and they come pre-vetted from people in Noma Collective oftentimes where you can get a referral. So a couple other excursions that are noteworthy and worth mentioning here was we did snorkeling in Silk Key, and it was a nice boat ride out there. We were out on an island with all these people, and it was beautiful snorkeling. We also recommend that if you're working remotely and you have a laptop and you want to get out of wherever you're staying just for a little break, there's a great place called Chill Point Placencia, and it's an expat who opened this wonderful cafe. It's AC'd. It actually has a wine bar in there too. I think it's like a nighttime and a daytime routine. But it was a really cool place to work, and they had an outdoor like center for kids too, like a nice rec area, right?
Yeah, they had an outdoor playground playground that was fenced in for the kids. And one of the managers that was there regularly, her kid was a local at that restaurant and would be playing outside in the playground area. And that's a friend that Leo got to play with.
So that concludes the whirlwind of the adventure of us going on this trip together as a family for the first time and sharing with you. The reason why we're sharing with you and we're thankful that you're watching this is because we want to inspire others to do the same. And we want to hold ourselves accountable to continue to do this and continue to share lessons so that other people share lessons with us as well and continue to take action in their lives.
Hey, we know that there's challenges to raising a young family, whether you're at home with your family or traveling. We just saw so many more benefits and growth of our family traveling and accommodating their needs, doing it abroad, doing it together. We would recommend this to anybody, even with those small children. You can do this.
Yeah, newborn mom, brand new dad, and we just jumped into this and we made it happen. So I'm guaranteeing if you have a few more years on us, you've got this as well. And even if you don't, take action, be inspired, and learn from others. So until next time, hopefully you got a lot from this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and make sure to comment too. If you have any other questions about this trip that we can answer for you, or your own adventures you're going on, you want to share those with us, we would love to. And hey, maybe we'll meet up one day because we're looking for other people and other communities to tap into. So until next time, we'll see you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye.